come out there. So, I'll need one of those too. I decided it would be late that I wouldn't do a slideshow and put everybody to sleep.
Thank you.
But we do need to, we will talk from this. Now, my family were Mexican citizens before California became part of the United States. And both my great-great-grandfather, great-grandfather, and grandfather all kept, after it became part of the United States, they kept their dual citizenship, and also many of them moved to Mexico, to the state of Sinaloa. Well, about half of my family are Spanish speakers and half are English speakers. I'm from the English half, but I had to learn Spanish to know what they're talking about to me. I'm going to tell you a little Blythe story. I'm a neurosurgeon. I took my training at Loma Linda. I was the second person to graduate from as a neurosurgeon from there, and at also USC. There was one place I really hated to get calls from, and that was Blythe, California, Barstow, and Needles, since Loma Linda was the major trauma center for the area. We actually got them from Las Vegas and Yuma and all over. It was unbelievable, but it somehow Blythe seemed to be have a special dislike for me, especially on Saturday nights. So one night I got this call. The other neurosurgery resident was moonlighting in the Blythe emergency room. Why he'd want to come out here and moonlight for a little extra money, I don't know. But anyway, he called me and he said, Arthur, they brought a drunk that had been in a pool room fight in Blythe, that had been struck in the head with a pool cue. And when he came in, he was conscious, but he started to lose consciousness. I did an x-ray and he had a skull fracture in the temporal area, so I knew he had a torn blood vessel on his, between the meninges and the skull. And if I didn't do something, he was going to be dead. There's no way we could send him in an ambulance to Loma Linda or try to get a helicopter to come get him. He'd be dead in an hour. So I had the maintenance people at the hospital sterilize a carpenter's brace and brit. I made an incision in the scalp, put in a retractor, and took the carpenter's brace and brit, bored a hole through his skull, and enlarged it a little bit, and put a drain in. And he said, he's on the way, he'll be there in probably about an hour. He woke up and started talking. So I did put a big bulky dressing on, but of course we couldn't, we don't want to stop the bleeding. So I waited, and they called me from the emergency room. Here came this fellow from Blythe with a huge bandage, just absolutely soaked with blood. But he was talking, so immediately took him to the OR and finished things up. So at least I have a part in saving somebody that got in a barroom fight on Saturday night or Friday night here in Blythe. But that's actually a miraculous story, and this person totally changed their life, and I have been in contact with them. So that's my favorite Blythe story. Well, I've been after I moved to Tennessee, I moved there. I had 6 offers in California, but they had what was called the malpractice crisis. All of them disappeared, so I knew I had to go someplace. I had a brother that was an anesthesiologist in Tennessee, so I said, well, if you can find me a job there, I'll go. So I went there in 1975, and I've been happy ever since. When I got there, I became interested in the local Native American art, artifacts, and ancient sites, and I started to people started to bring me things. I started to get pieces of shell with engravings on them, pieces of pottery, other things. I knew they meant something, but I didn't know exactly what they meant or why they were coming to me. And then with a little while later, some of the university professors got interested in seeing what I had. And by then I started to have visions in which I was shown what the meanings of these things were, and that they were sent to me to be a guardian, and also because this information is something that's actually important for us to know and understand. And basically it's called the Path of Souls. So pretty soon I was traveling down to Texas State University and going various places, and by a combination of, well, I won't mention the visions and ancient guardians actually telling me what the things meant, because people would think I was crazy and probably lock me up. But the other thing we did, we went back to the old ethnology books. We went to all of the old legends, stories, creation stories, everything that the early ethnologists had discovered and written down before the big attempt was made to completely obliterate all Native American knowledge by sending the children to boarding schools. Right near me was a boarding school called Sherman Institute. I used to ride my bicycle over to the graveyard. Hundreds of children buried there. And I would look, and there would about half the names were Spanish, a quarter English, and a quarter Native American names. And I'd notice members of the same family, age 9, 11, 14. They didn't die the same year. They died different years. They were sent there to die, and they got no medical care basically if they got sick. They were told, you cannot speak Indian. It's bad to speak Indian. So they shaved, cut their hair. They could wear no Indian jewelry. If they spoke to their sister in an Indian language, they were punished. Their mouths were taped shut. This is horrible. This happened. These people were torn from their families here in the deserts of California and taken there. So anyway, so I'm going to share with you some of the things that I've learned about the. We're going to go back. Now, all of this information is being released after the Venus transit in 2012. All knowledge is going to be again revealed to the world. You can't hide anything now. It's all on the internet. It's on Facebook or whatever. You have to use discretion and have contact with spirit so you'll know what's truth and what stuff that people are putting out there to confuse you and so forth. Anyway, this Path of Souls is primarily from the Mississippian culture, the southeastern United States, but the same cosmology goes every place. First page is just a picture of where the Mississippian culture is. I'm going to show you that one of the first things I got was called the Triskel Gorget. Now look at it here, and I'll just tell you what it is. In the middle, it's a scallop design in the middle. There's a triskel or a whirlwind, and around that is a circle with little dots and various stations, and then the rim of the world anyway. So this was the first one we figured out. This represents the portal to the Path of Souls. The 3 represents Orion. Then from Orion, we'll see this in a minute, but then you go to the Milky Way, and then you go to the galactic center. But this, why did they give the children these? Why did they do it? It was to show them where they needed to go in the sky. They didn't have books. I think this 3 worlds is 3 different worlds: the upper world, middle world where we live, and the below world. And here's your woodpecker. And if you notice on that, there's 4 woodpeckers, and they're moving. It's Aakot, 4 movement, Nawe O Yin. So, and then in the center is the sacred cross, the 4 winds, the tree of life or cosmic tree, and then the station part here, which is where we're taught we are. But everything is in movement. Nothing's stationary. Nothing's solid. I have this particular thing here that shows a cross, a true cross. A true cross is the four cardinal directions and everything in between, but it's in continual movement. And there's 3 worlds: the upper world, middle world, and lower world. One thing that's very important that I'll tell you right now, and that is that at night the worlds flip. So when you look up at the sky, you're looking at the below world, and when you see Orion and the Big Dipper and all of these wonderful stars, you're actually looking at the below world, and you're looking at things that are reflected in the world where we live. So that's important. A lot of people get very confused because they don't realize that the cosmology of the stars and what you see here on the Earth, the things we've been showing with these mountains and intaglios and sites, and everything that you see here on the Earth and our plane, at night you see it up in the skies. So